I think this is a really good team. And caveat that Kawhi has to be himself, but I see, again, tremendous flexibility with their lineup. I think we're going to see the emergence of OG Anunoby. He was one of the best rookies last year. Didn't get a whole lot of attention just because of the nature of the already great rookie class and that he played in Toronto. If I was San Antonio, I would have prioritized getting OG Anunoby. The fact that they were able to keep him out of that deal, I think, was a victory for the Raptors. I think he can play. He can defend probably about 70% of the league effectively. You put him next to Kawhi. You put him next to a very versatile guy in Pascal Siakam, who's very, very versatile defensively. You look at Fred VanVleet, who can play multiple positions. Really came into his own last year. Kyle Lowry is still an all-star level player. I just love the defensive intensity and flexibility on this roster.
Any concerns, guys, about Nick Nurse? Nick Nurse is this, lifelong assistant who moves down into a team that, could conceivably go to the finals.
Yeah,
what is the concern level?
He just replaced
the coach of the year.
Yep,
Dwayne Casey. I mean, how concerned should a Toronto fan be that here's this guy who's seemingly come out of nowhere to replace the coach of the year on a team that's expected to contend for a finals berth?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they would have made the same move if they knew they were going to get Kawhi, a couple months later. I mean, the job sort of like, I think Brian may have made this comparison in the past. It's sort of like when David Blatt was hired before the Cavs got LeBron, and the job changed a little bit. But, I think the big difference here is Nick Nurse has been around this group of guys. He's, proven what he can do, and he, I think probably rightfully gets a lot of credit for the way that second unit played last year, where they shot a ton of threes, got to the basket, almost nothing in the mid-range. And if you look at the Raptors so far in the preseason, that's how the whole team has been playing. And, obviously trading DeMar DeRozan is a big part of that, although Kawhi, does have a tendency to shoot some pull-up, jumpers in isolation, some of those long twos. But I think that's going to be...
Isn't he maybe the league leader in pull-up threes?
Yeah, he shoots a lot. I mean, Harden's the leader.
Oh, right.
He's in there. He was 2 years ago. And... the thing I love about this team is the number of wings they have. That's the most difficult position to get in the modern NBA. You mentioned it.
Right, I didn't even mention Danny Green and CJ Miles.
Yeah, and DeLon Wright is in that mix. Like, they've just got so many options that they're going small, and I think that's what's really going to be an advantage for them. So I'm looking forward to next week when our Eastern Conference picks come out, and there's going to be a sea of Boston logos on that page, and just that one little Toronto logo next to it.
Oh, look at you! So now is this the Shaney method, or is this just is this your computer saying this, or is this your viewpoint?
I mean, they are tops in the real plus minus projections that I do, and using our system that developed by Jerry Engelman. But I think beyond that, it's like. Look, I get the whole Toronto in the playoffs thing, but number one, that was against LeBron, and he's not there anymore. And number two, I think a lot of that was, they got reported. Number two, I think a lot of that was DeRozan, quite frankly. I mean, they were at their best in last year's series against Cleveland in games where DeRozan got benched in the fourth quarter. And he's phenomenal in the regular season, helped them win a lot of games. Kawhi will have to be healthy for them to be as good during the regular season. But I think that is a massive, massive upgrade in terms of star talent. And a situation where previously they were coming up short against Cleveland in particular. But now I think they go into any series in the East, if Kawhi's healthy, at least on par and probably with the better team.
They're actually kind of built. So, Nick was talking about Nick Nurse being a high-level assistant. He was a head coach in the D League for the Rio Grande Vipers. Is it Rio Grande or Rio Grande?
Rio. Yeah, we've been having pronunciation problems today.
You sound. I know that the people are going to make fun of me and say I'm an asshole for saying that, but in Ohio, there's actually a college that's on the river that's spelled R-I-O, and they pronounce it Rio. So that's where that came from. So, of course, I know it was just a brain fart by me. But anyway, so basically they played down there the same way that the Rockets were playing up in Houston, and that's the way Nick, I think, did they win a D-League title? I think, did Nick lead them to a D-League title? I can't remember, but
did that change your opinion of him? If he did?
I mean, no. I'm just saying,
2011 D-League title.
Right. So, playing in, and really that was even more of an incubator back then for the way Daryl Morey wanted to play than the way the Rockets eventually started playing now, which was high tempo layups and 3-pointers. And so this is how Nick Nurse believes the game should be played. He is basically a branch of the Rockets tree, and with a whole bunch of wings, they're kind of built like the Rockets were to try to deal with the Warriors in a string. I mean, they don't get the credit for being constructed that way, but that's how they've been constructed. And when they traded DeMar, they traded him for two really good defensive wings. Although I guess Danny Green's defense may have, is it slightly down from where it was in recent years, Kevin? But still,
I think a half step down.
I know his 3-point shooting is down. I mean, I always think of Danny Green in the 2014 finals where the dude didn't touch the rim on a 3-pointer. I always think of him like that. His career percentages actually aren't that sterling, but
we
certainly
were so
a two-way player.
Danny Green we were so close to Danny Green Finals MVP.
Oh man, he was tracking. Instead, it went to his teammate Kawhi.
No, that was the year they lost, wasn't it?
No,
13 was the year I thought that he made all the threes.
Maybe my memory is really going, but I thought it was 14. He couldn't miss. I don't think any of the Spurs missed very much in 2014. So anyway, I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Nick, you bring up a really good point. Is all the cards are on the table for the Raptors this year. I mean, Kyle Lowry is not getting any younger. Serge Ibaka is not getting any younger, and they have to do really well to keep Kawhi interested. Maybe you don't want to have a rookie head coach at the controls. It's not an ideal situation. That said, I think Nick Nurse is, I understand why they made the bet. It's interesting. This is Masai's first head coach hire. He's been a GM, for almost maybe 8 or 9 years. This is the first coach that he hired. He's sticking his neck out a little bit to fire Dwayne Casey to hire Nick Nurse, but I kind of think it's kind of the same scenario about why the Raptors ended up benching DeMar at the end of a couple of those games in the conference. Well, it was the conference semifinals, but against the Cavs, because the numbers and everything and their research said that DeMar, they were better when they were on the bench, and I think it took Dwayne Casey to stick his neck out to bench DeMar because it was the right thing for the organization. Well, Masai believes the right thing for the organization was to make this change, to promote the assistant off of the best team in Raptors history, regular season at least. I respect the hustle. I think one of the things that Masai has is that he knows if Kawhi walks, this team is still positioned to build for the future. They're still young, and they can position themselves. But I actually think that they are primed to make an in-season trade as well. Like, let's say the Jimmy Butler situation doesn't get resolved, and he's still available in a couple of months. They have the assets to pull it off. And, I don't, and especially if they're going to go all in, I wouldn't rule out them trying to look for a deal like that.
That team would be fun to watch defensively. With Kawhi and Jimmy together, trying to lock down any wing out there. I mean, that would be a hell of a lot of fun to see them going against the Golden State in this case.
It'd be a hell of a gamble with both of them being free agents. But
well, and that's why I understand what Masai's going for in this sense too, though, B, because yeah, you've got these younger pieces and they could rebuild. Although if you go and trade for Jimmy in this dream scenario for Toronto, you're going to obviously give up a few of those pieces. But if it doesn't work, you can hit the button. And that's what we've seen so many times in the last few years in this league. You've got teams that are going for it all, or you've got teams that are going to press the button on the rebuild. So Toronto is setting themselves up to either make the finals and push Golden State, assuming they're healthy, or it all falls apart and you can hit the button and start fresh in a new season and take a lot of that pressure, in this case, off Nick Nurse in his second year.